Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me. The prescription drug industry has grown to $1.0 trillion in 2024. It'll grow by 4.0%, and in the next 4 years will be at $1.28 trillion. Over-the-counter drugs, $23.3 billion. Bloomberg.com says the average person in the US spends $1,300 a year on prescription drugs, but in other countries, $466. What is the state of the people of color with health and medicine? And are there preventive care measures that we can give our bodies? And what kind of alternatives do we have to prescription drugs? Today, we're literally going back to our roots because my guest today, Carolyn Jones, is an herbalist, and we're going to be discussing different plant-based medicines for preventive measures. So stick around. This is OneMicNite. I'm Marco Solis. Let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. My name is Marco Solis, and I want to thank you guys all for joining me for this episode. We have a killer episode today. Now, you may have already met her in season 2, episode 7, but she's back again. And you know, I only get the good guests to come back for a second time. She is an herbalist. She embraces the life for self-care, the lifestyle. She is certified in aromatherapy, reflexology. She's a bereavement chaplain. She's an author of the book, Pick Up Your Bed and Walk. And today she's going to talk about her new project called The Healing Project. Please welcome Carolyn Jones back to OneMicNite. How you doing, Carolyn?
Hey, how you doing, Marco? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back. You know you're my favorite.
I love it when you say that.
Good. For everybody who didn't see you in season 2, please remind people who you are and what you do. Who is Carolyn Jones?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Carolyn Jones, and I am an herbalist, also certified in aromatherapy, reflexology, and flower essences, and I most recently got certified as an acupuncturist detoxification specialist. My intention is to teach the community about simple ways that they can take care of themselves and not find themselves running to the emergency room or urgent care all the time. You have a lot of medicine right in your kitchen that you might not even realize you have. And there are other modalities around that are much more pleasant than popping 8 and 10 pills a day.
Yeah.
So, my goal is to teach about these different modalities, not just practice them. Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about homeopathic lifestyle.
Homeopathic and also a lifestyle that embraces a Zen consciousness.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So moving away from the medicinal, like drugs, prescribed drugs and things like that, but more so into things that we have access to in our daily lives.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, with the increase of the use of marijuana, that is a problem as well. Certainly, it has its benefits, but it also, as with anything, when you overuse it, has a detrimental effect on the health and on the emotions, you
Mm.
know. And I'm meeting people who are actually working to get off of marijuana at this point in time because they've crossed that line into where it's feeling unhealthy for them.
Yeah, I let's talk about that just for a brief second. A lot of
Mhm.
people do feel like that it's a way that they live their daily lives.
Sure.
I think anything in moderation is okay, but I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are dependent upon it to function,
Mm.
and it's
And that's the
detracting from
problem.
their right from their actually overall progress.
It is. And it's also a message that they're sending to their body that you're not enough.
Mm,
When in actuality, you were born with what you need. It just needs to be developed and you need to direct it in the right way. But if you keep yourself numbed up, then you won't find the right way because you'll be asleep. You'll have an inner sleep going on.
right. Yeah.
Besides that, people can see you might be around people who can really help your career or what you're doing. And you can see when somebody's been smoking.
Right.
Their eyes, their countenance holds it.
Right.
So it's fine if it's used to relax or for pain is really what I believe, and subscribe to. But still, there are other herbs that help with pain.
True.
Like uh, aspirin wouldn't have been invented more than likely if they hadn't discovered white willow bark in the rainforest.
Mm,
So instead of when I feel achy breaky, I'm 74 years old. Sometimes I feel that achy breaky,
right. Yeah.
you know, and I don't take aspirin. I don't have any pharmaceuticals in my home, but I do have white willow bark. Some make a small serving of white willow bark tea, and I don't have achy breaky for the rest of the day. Whereas with aspirin, you have to take it every 4 hours.
Right.
That means it wears off. That means they didn't give you enough.
Right.
You take a half a cup. You don't have to take a whole lot of white willow bark. Certainly, if you're on blood thinners, then don't combine them
Hmm.
because that's compounding the blood thinning capability in your, you don't want to bleed out or anything if you cut yourself. And that could happen, I guess. I would not want it to turn into a contraindication,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But to get rid of that achy breaky, especially for my senior citizens, uh, put a little bit of white willow bark tea in your regular tea. But then there are other things as we go into diet, what you need to take out of your diet so you won't feel the achy breaky. So it's all a domino effect.
Right.
And with marijuana, once again, when you're hungry, you don't care what you eat. With the munchies, like, what's in here,
Right. The
So,
munchies.
yeah, there's that too. You're not being, you're not doing conscious eating when you're smoking. It's like drinking.
Right.
You act the
And
way you act.
right. And my thought too is why wouldn't you want to go through life with full clarity?
That's
As
right.
much clarity as possible. And the other thing is what you're actually talking about, for example, with the aspirin, is why not, instead of having the government issued where they're making the money, go to the root of what the aspirin is and use the natural form of it, which is
Yes,
accessible to us,
that's
even at a
right.
lower
And
cost.
cheaper.
And
Thank you.
yeah.
But if you never research it or
Right.
open up your mind to people who are speaking about it, then you just won't know, or you will have closed yourself off to it. Nah, I got to have it this way. Well, okay. Um, uh, then you have chosen suffering.
Right.
in the long run.
Do you feel like there's been a movement towards more natural products lately? Such as
Absolutely.
that?
And
Yeah.
I believe the pandemic helped that along because my fellow practitioners and I talk about that often. They say actually the pandemic turned out to be a blessing for us because people couldn't get out. They had to turn to nature. And I believe that was part of the message nature was giving us.
Right.
Like, look at me. I'm here for you.
I would have to agree with you too. That, along with conscious eating, a lot of people started experimenting with vegetarianism,
Yeah.
pescatarianism, like
Deliciousness.
those type of things, right? Eating a little more natural and healthy, and finding out the results. It's like if you eat, like take a week and eat just fruit or just vegetables, the way
Yeah.
you feel after you eat that is completely different than if you're
Different.
eating fried chicken, fried fish, all those
Lethargic.
saturated, yeah,
Yeah.
Cheetos, Doritos, flaming hot Doritos, which I'm guilty of eating,
Yeah.
but
I've eaten a wise every now and then.
right. And but you know how
But
you
that's the
feel
key,
after it.
every
Yeah,
now and then.
right.
Mm. And
Exactly.
clean your blood, you know. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I know how I eat because I can't stop eating the flaming hot Doritos, but then
Yeah.
afterwards I feel like, what did I just eat? You
Ooh,
feel
yeah.
horrible. You feel
Hmm.
horrible.
Now
And
cheese can be my nemesis.
mhm,
And that slice of pizza every now and then.
right,
Just my body disallows that mucus buildup comes with all of that dairy. So when I suffer, I'm like, well, you chose it.
right.
And I get contrite, clean out my blood, and start all over.
What are there some things that we can use to sort of detox our body or to flush out some of these toxins?
The best the best start is to just number one, change your diet.
Mm,
Because then you're giving your blood something fresh to work with. But uh, the short list would be drink plenty of water, do not drink sodas.
right.
You Also eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. Some of the herbs that I used, you must cleanse your gut. So there are products out there that have Cascara Sagrada in it. I know Senna. Senna for me is too harsh, so I never recommend it to anyone. It gripes, and I
What
only
is
use it once in my life. Senna,
what is it?
Senna.
Okay. Hmm.
Yes, it's a laxative. It's an herbal laxative. It's a
Okay.
plant. It has uh, um, purgative characteristics.
Okay.
Hmm. And so the difference between a laxative and a purgative is a laxative, when you go, it's pretty much whole, but a purgative, it comes out more liquid,
Okay.
like a castor oil would do you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Now, castor oil, um, if I take it, when I take it, not that often, but I put it in orange juice so it doesn't stick on my tongue, because
Right.
that's really the thing that people can't stand, that
The
aftertaste
aftertaste.
and
Yeah.
and the oiliness of it. But if you put it in orange juice and chuck it down, it goes right down, and you pass all that sticking on your tongue.
Now, see, I like this, Carolyn, because I know in speaking to my mother, we as a people, castor oil was always something that we took. Castor
Yes.
oil for everything, castor oil
Yes.
for everything. And my mother still talks about it to this day. You
Hmm.
know, it's
Because disease starts in the gut.
mhm,
So if you see people walking around and they have a huge belly, and back in the day they used to say that man has a beer belly. No, he had a buildup of feces.
mm,
Right. So it's very important. And you hear of situations where they say his his intestine burst or her intestine burst.
right,
You got sepsis.
right.
Well, that's because it was about how big do you think the intestine can stretch before it gives way?
True. Yeah.
It gets a fissure of some kind. And so in biology, I always try to make note in the community when I'm teaching in biology, we were taught the body as separate parts. Okay, your brain, your heart, your lungs. You can no, it's all one unit. And if you might be hurting, say like you might have a headache, but you might have the issue in a totally different part of your body.
Right.
And that comes up with acupuncture. That's one reason that I was really interested, not interested enough to become a licensed acupuncturist, but interested enough to get certified to do the NADA protocol for drug abusers. So I work at On Point at least once a week as a volunteer. And not everyone comes up there is a substance abuser, but the majority of them are. And it's a beautiful oasis with sound, gongs. I use the tuning fork sometimes, that I use auric massage. I do the NADA protocol. That's the needles in the ear, 5 points in the ear that work to reduce stress. Because,
Oh, that's why. So
a lot of
it's
my illness comes from stress.
okay. So it's the sound mixed with the acupuncture that you're doing.
Yes, or
Okay.
not.
Or not.
Because sometimes when the person is laying down, because that protocol de-stresses you so much, a lot of people, no sooner than you put the last needle in, they're already asleep. I love it,
Do the needles hurt?
No, no. And you know what?
Because that's
I'm
the
going to tell
fear that
you
everybody
something.
has.
I'm going to tell you something.
Uh-huh.
I still remember my screams when I was 6, when the doctor was coming at me with a needle. I know what I was saying. I was like, doctor, 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 doctor. And when I reach back, I can feel that terror. All my life, I was afraid of needles. But that's why I'm so amazed at myself now that, first of all, I had to overcome the fear of hurting someone. So my beautiful teacher and mentor, Juan Cortez, manages On Point, a clinic there. And he said, when you're putting the needle in, think love. So I'm giving you love. So you're giving the person love 10 times, 5
Oh,
in this.
wow.
And when I put that in my
That's
head, you know what, Marcos? I overcame it. It now is just like second nature to insert. And first of all, it doesn't hurt. It's amazing, how the ear and the needles are so fine anyway. So
it's not like when I go get a flu shot, is it?
no,
No.
I think not. I don't get flu shots, but I know if
Yeah,
it was, yeah, any shot,
any
even when
shot.
they're taking my blood, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. So I do still have that way, but
Right.
it's just funny with the acupuncture. You want me to tell you how I got started with acupuncture?
Yes, please.
I had sinusitis because I didn't yet know that dairy was causing my problems with the mucus. And
Okay.
this one time I worked at City Tech and I taught afterwards. This particular time I had to go all the way up to Harlem to teach at College of New Rochelle. And my head was hurting so bad I could not have made it. And I knew about the acupuncturist. She was in my chiropractor's office, a nice, wonderful Asian doctor. And I said, let me go ahead and see this woman. She had given me her card. I said, I'm hurting so bad, I'll do anything because I want to go up there and get my money and teach children, right? Grown folks, really. But I went in there, I said, all right, you could do it. And it was, I was trembling. You know how an animal is afraid and is trembling
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
teach it, it's been abused so long?
Uh-huh.
I was trembling like, eh.
Oh.
She said, don't worry, it's not gonna hurt. I was laying down. She even put a needle here. When she headed here, I was really freaking out. I think I watched too many monster flicks. And but she put them everywhere and then she put the infrared light on me. In 45 minutes, I had the best sleep I had ever had in life. I got up pain-free, went to Harlem taught a 4-hour class from 6 to 10, came home and cleaned the house till 1 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I
Well,
remember it, because all of that happened that way.
now listen, we gotta curb this just a little bit because you are a woman of a certain age. What do you say to the people who are of a certain age who are still relying on the drugs and the pain, who are still experiencing the pain and all these other things? How how do we tell them that there are other methods, other ways?
Yes, I just tell them. And I also give them resources for naturopaths, because by that time they're on so many different medications, it would be irresponsible of me to say, get off of it.
Hmm.
So they need a naturopathic doctor who will look at the medications and see what can be eased back and do it slowly, you know? But for everyone, I always recommend cleansing the colon and cleansing the blood. There are ways to do that safely for everyone, even if
Okay.
they're on a lot of medications. And also cleansing the emotions.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm a
Number one.
bereavement chaplain as well. And we all, I chose bereavement because I know that all of us have suffered loss in some form or another at some time in our lives. It doesn't have to be a death as related to somebody dying,
Right.
loss of a relationship, loss of a job, loss of trust in yourself.
Come on, Carolyn. Talk about it. Talk about it.
So
Yeah, yeah, for
and
sure.
that's where my flower essences come in,
Okay.
because they work energetically, and that's where sound healing comes in. Um, I love a good piece of music just like everyone else, but like I said the other day, just in my workshop at Catellia Library, uh, have a 4-part series going on. This series ends this weekend.
Hmm.
Um, but and it will be sound. But I told them, you have to be careful what you feed your ears with. It's an orifice, just like everything else that is an orifice on your body.
Yes, yes.
If you are sensitive about what goes in your mouth or your hind parts, let's go
Hmm.
there,
Hmm. Hmm.
then you need to be mindful of what's going in your ears, because it's an orifice too, and it's the channel to your brain, your consciousness, and your overall health.
That's right. And you're talking about in general to everyone, you
Yes.
know, to everyone. It's the
Everyone.
same thing as what we're watching and what we allow ourselves to watch and consume, even with the news, with music that you hear, especially today's music,
Ooh,
what the
it's
kids are
dangerous.
listening to.
It's dangerous.
It's
And
dangerous.
you see the effects on their countenance. I remember as a child, even though I lived in a troubled home, I
Mhm.
was a joyful child. Overall, like my spirit was joyful. And you see the sadness. And when I worked in the funeral home, to see young people coming through, all kinds of reasons, suicide,
Mhm.
somebody shot them. But, there's too much of that going on. And how do we reverse it?
That's the big question. How do we
Yeah.
reverse it?
But we have to
It's
start caring for ourselves first before we can
number
even
one.
care for each other.
Number one. Number one. Yeah, absolutely. Start caring for yourself and then care for your others. My cup has to
Mm-hmm.
be full. We say this all the time. My cup runneth over. Let my cup be full first. Let everybody else get the run over.
You better
Right?
go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Have some run over.
That's right. You have the
I
run
got a little
over.
extra
I
today.
got a little extra. You get all that, but I get this first.
That's right.
Right? So you have to take
I
care of
like
yourself.
that. I
Right?
like that, Marcos.
Now you have a project. It's called the Healing Project.
Yes.
Is that a course, or tell us a little bit about
It
that?
can be.
Hmm.
I named it the Healing Project because I am the Healing Project. I worked on healing me first.
That's right.
Talking about that cup running over. You
Fill
all are
your
getting the
cup
run
up.
over. Y'all getting the run over right about now. Have some run over,
That's
y'all.
right. Have some run over.
So, you know, it is a joy to be at this point where I can offer healing concepts, opportunities, and resources to others. Because
Yes.
there was a time in my life when all I saw was darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like me in an embryonic position on the bed,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure things out. Not suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
just I was afraid to move. I was paralyzed by
Right.
the pain. And as I began to introduce myself to not even calling it therapy, I love to dance. So I would take dance classes, and I'm a writer. So I would write
Mm-hmm.
and just stayed around artistic people and started taking life as it was coming after understanding what I needed to do to correct the path that I was on because I had overcared too long to the point of self-destruction,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
overcared for others
Yes.
too long to the point of self-destruction. Then I pulled back. And what it looked like to everyone else, I'm sure, is it looked like selfishness. But I pulled back out of love for them so that I wouldn't hurt them
Mm.
or myself anymore with my ignorance. I didn't know. There's nothing wrong with admitting ignorance, especially if you're looking for a solution.
Right. And you mean ignorance in what way? Ignorance for what?
Ignorant. I was a very sheltered child. So I
Okay.
was ignorant in every way possible. You name it, I was ignorant. I was naive.
Right.
And that's
And
how
we're
I,
talking about the literal definition of ignorance,
yeah.
like not
Duh,
knowing, no knowledge, no, yeah,
duh,
of
duh,
certain
duh, duh.
things. Yeah.
Of certain
Of
things.
certain
Duh,
things, certain
duh,
things.
duh,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
street knowledge. I was not. I had to teach myself street knowledge through personal experience. That's very painful, you know, because I came out and I often see messages that people put up that say, stop looking for you in other people. And I remember me always saying, I would never have done that. Why did they do that? They're not you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Don't do. You're dissecting, these cliches and these things that we all talk about and think about. But you're right. Why are you looking for you in someone else? They're uniquely them. I'm uniquely me.
Right. And the key word is unique.
Yes.
Once you realize that you are unique, anything anyone says of a negative nature about you, uh, you can just look at them and move on. You don't have to answer everything. You don't
Yes.
have to be back and forth with people to prove your point. And I'm a Scorpio anyway. I'll fall silent on somebody in a minute. Like, no. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a few
So,
Scorpios. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, what are you?
I'm an Aries.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Aries.
Yeah.
Yes. So the thing is, I wanted to get the anger from my childhood traumas out of my system. I started dissecting, and used that word earlier, and that's what I did to myself. I started dissecting my life to myself, like staying to myself and just seeing what part. And I would write a list. I would write that on paper, what I could change and who I would like to be, what I would like to accomplish.
Hmm.
And every year, before the new year comes in, I put down what I want to do, not how I'm going to do it, what I want to do, what I want to get rid of, who I want to get rid of. Because if a person isn't um, a positive force in my life, they're either dead weight or a negative force. They got to go.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean that I'm cruel. That
Nope.
just means that the texts stop, the emails stop, The phone calls, stop, I'm busy.
That's right. What is someone or something adding to your life? You're looking for the value. How is this valuable to my life? In what ways? If it's not valuable, there's no place for it. There's no place for it with me.
Right. And we're living in a time where we need to be focusing on the politics of our nation. And I'm not talking about who to vote for. I'm talking about looking back, and this is Black History Month, looking back into our past as a culture and seeing what our ancestors did and what their dream for us was and how we can be that harvest.
Yep. That's right.
Because a lot of the things that are going now, I don't think they'd be very proud of.
Right.
They might celebrate certain things, but other things that are really going to be at the root of our self-destruction, they have to get corrected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And pronto. This being unaware of current events and things like that, I don't think they even give current event assignments in school anymore. We used to have to write about it and analyze it. And what I found when I was teaching, I taught throughout the metropolitan area, last at Medgar Evers College, which was really great because I was able to add Black history. I taught public speaking, and I was able to add Black history to lessons, you know. But every lesson I've ever taught on the college level, I infused some Black history in there. Right now, I'm listening to an audio book in preparation for a couple of courses that I'll be teaching specifically for Black History Month, regarding kitchen medicine and the African-American experience. It's called The Cooking Gene by Michael Twitty. And he takes you on a journey, a genealogical journey of his family, but gives you all the history surrounding those times throughout the nation.
Ooh.
From the beginning till now. I mean, it is phenomenal. And I hate how they put certain documentaries on at a time when they know good and well nobody's around to pay attention. But on I think it's the Science Channel, they have a documentary called The Underground Railroad. And if I could find it to buy it, I want that in my library. I learned last week about something that our ancestors were brilliant. When they were being chased by dogs, they knew to go to the middle of the running water because skin cells collect on the shore and the dog would be able to hunt them down. So if they got to the middle where the water was rushing, the skin cells wouldn't collect there and they would go undetected.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Isn't that deep?
Yeah.
No microscope or anything in sight, and they knew this. The other thing they did was they would spread their scent around to the point where the dogs got confused and they would go in the water and get eaten by alligators.
Oh, wow. Wow.
These are the stories that we weren't taught in school. We were taught that we were always the victims. But when you read history, you find that it wasn't just putting excrement in pie. There was some deep, murderous stuff going on. Absolutely. People not bowing down to this oppression.
That's right.
But he also talks about how we ended up calling, say, something okra or couscous or something. He even mentioned mush. God knows I hated mush. I got a beating behind mush and I didn't care. I was so crazy. I took it and put it in toilet paper and threw it behind the toilet like nobody would find it. And Mrs. Donaldson, my nursery school teacher, told on me and I got a beating. But that's okay. I knew probably that they were going to catch me. And in my child's mind, I didn't know how. That was crazy because it was right there. But I was like, I can't eat this much. The texture,
the texture was bad.
And the smell the kids, the other kids were eating it up, but I was looking at them like, ew.
Well, hold on. We're going to learn more with Carolyn Jones in just a moment.